this is one of the most difficult shots you can have in filmmaking. With this background, regardless of which kind of camera that you are using, this particular technique will come in handy because every filmmaker, one way or the other, would one day run into this scenario. And for me, it is one of the most difficult shots to deal with in filmmaking. Now, let me show you how to deal with such a shot. In this particular case, if we want to be able to see Julie very well, I've increased my exposure. And as you can see, the background is completely blown out. That is because I was trying to expose for her. Maybe let me increase it just a little. Something like this so that she can be bright. But because she's now bright, the background is also almost completely blown out. But this is sunset, and the sun is kind of like, we have that kind of yellowish vibe going on. And so if you want to be able to preserve the yellowish vibe, and so that we'll be able to, instead of having this kind of washed out image, that is where having artificial lightning like this would come in place. I'll have to kind of expose for the background. Then we now bring the artificial lightning to now light her. So in this particular case, let me increase till we see the yellow and everything in the background very well. Yes, so I think maybe something like this. Yes, so I'm at, because I'm not using an ND, I'm actually at a shutter speed of 2000. And as you can see on your image right now, the background seems to be okay. We can now see the yellow vibe going on. We can have the feel of the sunset going on. But the main problem here is that Julie is now in complete darkness, which is not supposed to be so. So I have the Aputure 300D Mark II right here, and I've already set it up to full power, which is 100%. And I'm using this particular, in fact, I don't want to use softbox because a softbox would actually cut off the amount of light that is coming in. I want to make use of the full power. And so that is why I have this particular thing here, just to make sure that the light is directed straight forward to her. And so I'm now going to power this. And this is how the shot already looks like. So this is a very good way that you can use artificial lightning, because I usually have a lot of beginner filmmakers asking me, why is it that I see people still using light in daytime? And this is one of the key scenarios. So if I expose for Julie, because she's under a shade, which is a little bit darker, and the background is also a little bit brighter, if I expose for her, I also tend to lose the background because it becomes so much very overblown. And the same for it is true. Now, if I want to expose for the background again, I just increase this. And you realize now we can see all the details in the background, but we have a problem because Julie is completely dark, as you can see in this particular video. However, if we look far away in the background is very okay. This is how we want it to be. We don't want everything in the background to be whitish. And this is a very practical scenario every time we are shooting under a shade or when we are using natural lighting to shoot stuff like this. And so what do? That is where artificial lightning come to play. So what we are going to do is that we are going to expose for the background. So in this case, I want the background to be, let's say, this bright. So again, but Julie in this case is already in, as we can see, she's so much underexposed. So what do? We now introduce the artificial lightning here to brighten her to match up with the background. So in that case, we can maintain two planes in sight at the same time. And right now, voila, I've just kept the light on, and maybe let me keep raising it high till, let's say, somewhere 60%. And as the light keeps getting brighter, you realize that Julie's actually coming into the shot pretty well. And at this point in time, I'm at 80%. That's 80% luminosity from the Aputure 300D Mark II. But I feel like it's a little bit to one particular side. So I'm going to move this way just slightly a little. Yes. And probably let's just take it to almost 90%. And we'll see how it looks like. So yeah, this is 90% luminosity from the light. And as you can see, this is so nice that it looks so much very unreal. And so there are limitations to using this particular technique. So when you're about to use it, you have to be very, very cautious. Like everything in filmmaking, it has to be very minimally done if you do it too much. In this case, it's just because for the purpose of illustration, this is a little bit too much. As you can see, it's too nice to be true, because at the end of the day, as cinematographers, we are always on the edge of trying to represent a 3D plane in a 2D screen. Now you can use any kind of light, but in this particular case, I chose to use the Aputure 300D Mark II because this light is really very powerful and it puts out very powerful light. And so for me, this is my lighting of choice. You can go in for any other light that you think that is really very powerful, but it's not every light that you can use in this particular scenario. And again, I really prefer the Aputure 300D Mark II because it's really very quiet. If you get very close here, let me kind of get very close here, you can hardly hear the fan. But in some of the old versions of these kind of lights, or if you find big lights like this that can really put out much power like this, mostly you will hear the fan making crazy noises like this. You kind of get the point. So, however, this one is very silent. And so in movie scenarios, because in movie scenarios, we do record sound and all that. And so having something like this, that is where it comes in handy. And so I will have links if you want to buy something like this. I know for some of you, the beginner filmmakers on this channel, this might be a little bit pricey, but trust me, this is a very important investment that I will advise that you make moving into the future. Lights are very, very important. Lights and lenses, these two things, I'll always advise that you buy them over the latest camera, because in the next 1 week, in the next 2 weeks, or probably in the next 1 year from now, the best camera in this particular year will soon become obsolete. But a light like this, you might use it until you decide not to use it anymore, maybe because of an electrical fault or something. Again, lenses are also the same way. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, if you are just discovering this channel for the very first time, welcome. This is the Africa-based channel. Over here, we do talk about cinematography, photography, editing, and all its related branches. And if all this sounds interesting, and you know what, we also do watch movies and talk about other film industries across the globe. And if all this sounds interesting, then I do much appreciate it if you do click on the subscribe button. Make sure to click on the post notification bell so you are notified anytime I drop awesome content like this right here on the Africa Harmonies channel. And like we do it always on this channel, until next time, keep practicing filmmaking. Peace out.